Welcome back to another video. My name is Henrik and today we're going to be looking at the Volkswagen T-Roc R model. Meaning this thing is a pretty powerful car as you might not expect it from the design on the outside. However, it's a Volkswagen and it's going to cost you quite a lot for a Volkswagen. Starting at 52,260 euros in Germany. Our test vehicle with all the extras is going to cost you 64,940 euros. So quite a mind-boggling amount, but under the hood you actually get a pretty decent engine. First of all, you can see outside that we do have the R model with, for instance, the R design in the front. You also get that in the R line if I'm not totally mistaken. But in general, you don't get that wow effect from the outside. It doesn't look special, it doesn't look like, okay, this thing is gonna tear me apart on the Autobahn or something like that. You do have some touches down here, some intakes on the side, but in general, nothing that you might expect from this kind of car. You also have a whole daytime running light bar down here and also the IQ lights on the side here, so those are matrix lights. Let's take a look under the hood. For 64,000 euros, you also don't get any dampers on your hood, which is a little bit unfortunate, so you have to put it in with this thing. In here we have our 4-cylinder engine, which doesn't look special, but it actually produces 300 horsepower, 300.476 horsepower. And it's going to give you 400 newton meters of torque as well. It's going to get you from 0 to 100 in 4.9 seconds. Vmax of 250 kilometers an hour. And it's also a 2-liter engine, I didn't mention that. So it really is, in Germany we say a wolf in a sheep's clothing, or Wolf im, ja, das habe ich vergessen, im Schafspelz. That's how you say it in German. I don't know if you can translate that into the English, but it's something you might not you might not expect it from the car, but this thing is pretty powerful. So let's do a 0 to 100 test to see if we can actually reach 4.9 seconds in these winter conditions. So for the 0 to 100 test, we're going to press the R button on here to put us into the race mode. And you might have heard that up here there is the sound generator, and I think there's a problem with it because you can hear, yeah, it is maybe like a screw loose or something. It doesn't sound the best. We're going to try our 0 to 100 test, winter tires and also some very wet condition here. So let's see if we can get it from 100 or from 0 to 100. How quick? Launch control active. Oh, lots of wheel spin, but that kick and those aggressive shifts are just insane. 4.81 seconds, which is quite good. 4.9 is claimed. He got one earlier, which was 4.72. He got two back to back with 4.7.2. So a very good value, and those kicks in the start are just insane. So if you want to be the extra sporty person, this car is going to give you a little bit of a lesser ground clearance compared to the normal T-Roc. A total of 3 millimeters. The normal one is 1 meter or 161 millimeters. This is going to be 158 millimeters of ground clearance. So that is quite a lot. I'm totally joking about that one. Also, the dimension of the car. The car is going to be 4 meters and 24 long. It's going to be 1 meter and 82 wide without the side mirrors, and also 1 meter and 55 tall. So a car that is more targeted towards older people who want a car that, like a compact SUV. That's basically what it is. It's a compact SUV, and that is more for older people who want an easy access into the car, because you can see it is a fairly good entrance in here, so you can have a nice little comfortable entrance in there, and you also have the spaces of almost an SUV, so it's going to be fairly maneuverable around the city as well, because it's a compact one. When it comes to the dimensions though, you can't really see that on, or you can't really get those dimensions in the inside. It doesn't feel more spacious. A Golf R, for instance, that we did already do a video about, you can check that on the top right corner there. It felt more spacious in the inside, but that is actually a more compact vehicle. The color on here is also the Indium Grey Metallic Black, which is going to cost you around 1,300 euros extra, which is quite a lot. I would have rather liked the blue one with the black roof on. That would have looked a little bit cooler. The only two colors that you can get which are like a little bit special is the red and also the blue. So I would have definitely chosen the blue one because it's just the R model. And it would have also contrasted a little bit better with the brakes in here. And you can see we have the winter tires on here. So these brakes look very compact in there. Those are 17-inch rims for winter tires, and you also have the choice between 18 or 19 for your summer wheels. Let's do a 100 to 0 test to see how good it is in the winter condition. The 100 down to 0 test is probably not going to be the best because it is fairly slippery, it is wet, it's also winter tires. So let's see what we get from 100 down to 0. Okay, that's a lot of slipping right there. 3.1 seconds, I think that's actually quicker than what you got. No, 44 meters, okay, he got 42 meters. So yeah, it's winter tires, you can't really take this, or take it with a grain of salt. It's not the, whatever it's called. It's and you can also hear the pops and bangs if you go up here. does them better. I can't do them that great. But between 3,000 and 4,000, that's where they pop. I'm not the greatest at it, but yeah, it's fairly insane. So let's take a look at that Akrapovic exhaust. So you have two options for the car. Either you can smoke a lot of cigarettes, or you can also get the Akrapovic exhaust, which is going to cost you 4,180 euros extra. These do sound pretty cool, and they really are a highlight of the car because they do a lot of pops and bangs, which I'm surprised is still legal in Germany, this exhaust system. But 4,000 euros is quite a lot, so you can either get a lot of cigarettes or you can get that, whatever you want. Those do sound pretty cool. We're going to do a cold start and also a sound test here for you now. The design on the side, again, the T-Roc doesn't look that sporty. It doesn't look like an R model. You can see you do have the R line or the R version on the side here with that logo. Automatically foldable side mirrors, not a camera below, so no 360-degree camera in here. Keyless go on the front, so not on the back. We do have blacked out windows here, and we also have the black package on here, making all the black touches obviously in black or otherwise chrome. On here we also have this like fake carbon on here, which looks pretty cool. Yeah, but it's like the only special thing about it from the side. And if we go on to the back, the other thing is that, well, the design again is not that special. You do have the R logo on here. Otherwise, you have some fake outlets there, which is not the greatest, or intakes, whatever you want to call them. We don't have a big spoiler in here. Golf R, for instance, had a way bigger one. Like I said, you can check that video out. The only special thing, again, is the exhaust. Roof capacity is also 75 kilograms, and you do also have a towing capacity on here of 1,750 kilograms, which is quite decent. Because it's compact SUV, you do get a little bit more storage space in here, but you also have like your hat space up there, so you can obviously take that out, but that is going to hinder you a little bit. 392 liters up to 1,278, I think it was, right? 78?
1,237.
1,237. So yeah, that is fairly decent. You can flip it over so you can see it. And also down here we have a little more storage space where you can, for instance, hide the present for your children, and also a big thing in there. That's also where your first aid and stuff like that is gonna be. And if we move on over to the side, we also have our fuel tank on here, which is obviously, it's a combustion engine, so you have E5 or E10 in Germany. It has a fuel tank of 55 liters. Claimed distance or WLTP is around 8.6 up to 9.6. With 9.6 liters, you're going to get a range of around 530 kilometers. But let's see what the real consumption is that we got, or I got. So we definitely weren't able to reach the WLTP claimed consumption rate. We got in the last 2,933 kilometers 13.8 on average. That does include some autobahn driving and stuff like that, and 0 to 100 test, brake test. Still, we did an eco drive in the city as well, so the city and also a little bit of country road. The lowest I got was 11 liters. 9 I have seen online. If you go in full eco and basically drive it as efficient as you can, 9 liters is what you can aim towards. But still, that is very high consumption for a 4-cylinder engine. And with a 13 liter on average, that's what we got. It's fairly high, and yeah.
It cost you a lot,
yeah, it is going to cost you quite a lot, especially with the fuel price that we have right now in Germany at around, what is it, 180 per liter, right around there. It's fairly high maintenance cost on this car, and something I definitely was surprised by for this car to get a 13 liter consumption. Let's also look at the interior. One thing I really do like is the steering wheel. I do like them in most of the R mods. I think it's also the same in the Golf R that we had. The pedals on here are hard plastic, but they actually feel pretty cool, and they have a nice little, they feel pretty big and just good. Touch sensitive controls in here, I'm not the biggest fan of them. They do look good, but they are just a little bit hard to use. You have a big infotainment display in there, or a digital cockpit, where you can change between the views. For instance, you can have the map on there, and you can also switch between a couple of stuff in there, just so you have whatever you want. Lots of well, things that you can change in there. You don't have a heads-up display, which is a little bit unfortunate. That would have been pretty cool. Infotainment display in here is also a little bit older. That model is, I think, around 2 generations old now, if I'm not totally mistaken. If you wouldn't upgrade to the Navigation Pro package, you would theoretically also have a knob in here, so you can quick mute and just have a volume knob, because otherwise you just have this, and I'm not the biggest fan of that because it's a little bit counterintuitive. Lots of touch controls in here, which is obviously a little bit unfortunate. For instance, down here our climate controls also touch controls, and those are not feedback. So if you go in here and you look up front, you don't know what you're on right now because you don't have any touch sensitive controls in there, and not like feedback, haptic feedback, which is a little bit unfortunate. I would really like that. Inductive loading down there with 2 USB-Cs. My phone doesn't work in there, so on iPhone 13, iPhone 12, I think because of some way that their charging works, it doesn't work in there, which is a little bit unfortunate. We have the 4Motion. I do actually like that it says on there. 4Motion meaning all-wheel drive. The Haldex system, so not the torque vectoring system, for instance, that we also get in the Golf R. So you can't have a drift mode in here, but you do have a couple of not drift modes, but a couple of different modes in here. If we go in there, you can see our normal ones, and then we also have like this off-road. We have off-road expert, and we also have a snow mode. And I do like that we have like this little selection gear down there. It's pretty cool. Generally, the quality in here is also not the greatest. In the back, it's definitely a lot worse than the front, but lots of hard plastic. For 64,000 euros, that's quite insane. A lot of piano black as well, which is a little bit unfortunate. But still a pretty cool design with the like blue touches in there, and also the blue stitching in there. And the seats are also very comfortable. Not electrical seats, but you do get heated seats in here, and Android Auto and Apple CarPlay wirelessly. Back is also fairly spacious, but you don't feel, like I already said, it doesn't feel as spacious as, for instance, the Golf R that we had, even though that's a little bit of a more compact car. But in here, in this back, you got plenty of spaces. You don't have heated seats in there, but fairly good headroom as well. For the city, the car's also fairly good. We have a small turning radius, as you can see right here, of 10.6 meters, which is very nice. So it's a fairly, you can hear that again, wonderful. Fairly maneuverable car as well, and the dimension, like I already mentioned, are actually fairly small, so good to get into parking spots and stuff like that as well. You do also have an automatic parking assist in there, meaning it's gonna turn the steering wheel for you, but it's not going to do your gas and brake pedal. When it comes to the city driving as well, because you're sitting a little bit higher up, it's obviously a little bit easier to look around. You have a good surrounding view. Rear window is big, side mirrors are also big. Good general clearance where you can, wherever you look. And because you do sit higher up, it's just a little bit more comfortable as well. A little bit more nicer suspension here compared to the Golf R. A little bit, well, it's not as firm. We do also have the DCC in here, so it's those adaptive dampers. That's just going to make the ride quality a little bit nicer, and with all the different modes, you can obviously adjust it to your liking. Brabus? Was ist ein Brabus? Das ist ein Brabus.
Alter.
Freaking Brabus. Brabus.
Brabus.
Jeez, okay. That freaking Brabus 800 or what? Jeez. Okay. I'm not the greatest with Brabus, but that's the first time I think I've ever seen one in the wild.
The wild?
Yeah. And there we can see the wild Brabus taking control of the small Renault Clio. He's trying to catch his prey. As for National Geographic. The other thing that you definitely notice in this car compared to, for instance, the Golf R, is that because the car is a lot higher, the cornering capabilities are not the best compared to, for instance, the Golf R. But that's obviously what you expect, because you obviously don't have that much. You have way more ground clearance compared to the Golf R, and therefore you are going to have a little bit more slipping and just not the most aerodynamic touches in here. However, this car does produce quite a lot of fun. If you definitely put it into manual and you shift up and then you go manually down here and you just go, obviously with that sound that we have, not the greatest because of that thing, but it is still fun with all the pops and bangs as well. It is a surprisingly fun car to drive. Something that you might have not expected when driving this, but then you got this kick out as well. And it gets really loud in the interior as well. But the ability of this car is surprisingly, well, it's very surprising because you don't expect it when you're looking at it from the outside. And then you see that engine below it, 4-cylinder producing 300 horsepower with 400 Newton meters, 4.9 seconds, 4.72 what we got. It is surprisingly fun to drive. Well, not surprising, I was expecting a fun drive, but still, this car does have a punch to it, it feels good, and it just gives you a good experience when driving. If you're looking at other cars in this segment, you can, for instance, look at a Mercedes GLA 35 AMG. It's going to cost you around, I think, 10,000 euros extra for the starting price, or a little bit more than that, actually. But it's obviously a Mercedes. The other thing that I would personally like the most is going to be the Audi SQ2, which has the same engine. It's going to cost you around 4,000 euros less, or 2,000 euros less. I said 2,000 euros less. But it's obviously an Audi, so it's going to be a little bit more of a premium car. Really depends on what you want. And that car also looks, in my opinion, a little bit cooler. This one just doesn't have that wow effect from the outside. But still a really fun car to drive, obviously with that engine. 300 horsepower, you wouldn't expect it from the car. And it's going to allow you to do some pretty cool stuff, especially with the Akrapovic exhaust. That is going to, however, cost you quite a lot with those 4,000 euros. And I think if you're getting an R model, why are you going over the tree? You could have just gone behind the tree and you went over the tree. You could have obviously also chosen, I completely lost my train of thought there. But if you're getting an R model, you should definitely pick it up. Hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Hopefully I wasn't too dumb in this video, but hopefully we'll see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe, and bye-bye.